now I'd like to introduce business consultant for LegalShield, Lori Algieri.
Good morning, everyone. I'm so delighted to be here to share this information with you today. And so, as if starting your business isn't challenging enough, with the legal hurdles that go hand in hand with opening a business and maintaining the operations are also challenging, not only to understand but also to overcome. There are many legal factors that come into play when starting and running a small business, and it's essential to know what you can do to protect your business. Did you know that more than 13 million of all small businesses have experienced a significant legal event in the past 2 years? That's nearly 60% of all small businesses. That's why this topic is so important. So today we're going to take a look at 10 legal issues that small businesses face and the options to combat these legal issues. So the first issue we're going to take a look at today is contract and supplier disputes. No business is an island unto itself. If you are, let me know what kind of business that is, where you don't need humans to make any money. The word business itself actually describes a long history of trade and collaboration for the goal of profit. We're all in business together. In the normal course of business, disputes will happen. So how can you protect yourself even if you haven't thought about all the ways a relationship could go sour? Now, I know it would be pretty miserable if we all walked around thinking about how every event could go wrong in life. But at the same time, it would also be pretty miserable if you didn't make any preparations for likely events that could threaten your business, your project, and the success of those items. So internet and security breaches. Did you know that actually 47 different states have security breach notification laws? So here in Nevada, you can find the laws for our security breach notifications and what you need to do in Chapter 603A of the Nevada statute. And so have fun reading Nevada statutes. If you don't understand them, always feel free to contact an attorney to explain them to you better. Product liability issues. Now, no one goes out hoping to make a product that is going to hurt anybody that uses it. However, there are product liability laws that provide the victims of dangerous products with legal recourse for any injuries that they've suffered. There's actually 3 different types of product defects. So there's design defects. Now, this is going to be present in a product from the very beginning. Even before it was manufactured, it's something that in the actual design of the product, it's inherently unsafe. Some examples of this would be an amazing looking car that flips over when you're going around a corner. Obviously, the design was a little flawed. Or sunglasses that don't protect you from UV rays. That's what they're supposed to do. So there's manufacturing defects. With manufacturing defects, this is going to occur when the product is actually being manufactured. So some simple examples of that would be a cough syrup that when manufactured actually ends up containing a little bit of poison. Obviously that is not an okay thing. Or motorcycles that when manufactured, they forgot to put the missing the brake pads. So then you have the issue there where new motorcycle drivers are going out, pushing on the brakes, and there's no pads there. So the stopping feature just isn't there. So that's definitely a manufacturer defect. And there's also marketing defects. So you can see here we have an example of a marketing defect on the screen. Now this is going to be a flaw in the way that your product is marketed. So even if the design is amazing, your manufacturing company has done everything correctly, if you have improper labeling, insufficient instructions, or even inadequate safety warnings, you can be looking at a product liability issue. So even here on marshmallows, you need to have a warning that you can choke on marshmallows, so only one at a time. And if you have children under 6, you need to cut those marshmallows up so that way nobody chokes on them. So even with something as simple as marshmallows, you need to make sure you cover yourself. Employee theft. No one wants to think about employees stealing. We hire employees so that we can grow our business, so we can help our community, so everything can thrive in life. So a lot of times people will think about, when I say employee theft, people steal actual money from them, or even stealing physical items from them, or maybe places that they have their employees working. Unfortunately, employees can also steal trade secrets. Employee fraud costs businesses billions of dollars each year. So terminating employees also can put you in a hot seat as well, because if you do it inappropriately, even though they are doing something wrong to you, they can make you a defendant in a wrongful termination lawsuit. So you always want to make sure that you contact and get good consultation when you're looking at dealing with employees that are possibly causing you issues. Tax audits. Now, obviously, the IRS is a scary thing, and so it is a legal issue for small businesses and for their owners. And so, do you know what to expect if you are audited? Also, do you know the pros and cons of appealing an audit? Now, would it be handy for you to have tips on how to survive a tax audit, or would you like to go through your first one yourself and see how that works out? Employee confidentiality issues. So, we just talked about stealing trade secrets, but do you know what actually constitutes a trade secret? A lot of people will have their employees sign confidentiality agreements. One question I always want to ask people is it legal? There's actually 3 different things that you need to take into consideration when looking at a confidentiality agreement. Now, I am not an attorney. I always want people to consult with an attorney, but just to give you those 3 different items, you want to take a look if it's supported by consideration. You cannot have a legal confidentiality agreement if the person who's signing it isn't getting anything in return. Also, it has to be realistic and reasonable. You have to look at the duration of the obligation and also the burden on the employee. If those things do not make sense, it's most likely not going to hold up in court. Also, you have to look at the scope, if that's reasonable. If this is information that you're considering a trade secret, yet the employee already knew it before they were hired with you, or if that information is public or is easily found on the internet, let's say, then it's really not a trade secret. Also, if you've illegally obtained information, you can't really hold your employees to a confidentiality agreement because you've illegally obtained it. Now, threats of consumer lawsuits. This is probably the first one everybody thought I was going to talk about because we all know that McDonald's had an issue when their hot coffee was spilled on someone's lap. Recently, Starbucks had an issue for putting too much ice in a coffee. People felt like they weren't getting enough coffee. So consumer lawsuits are definitely out there. But what types of lawsuits actually end up in class actions? So there's many different types of class action lawsuits. Those are the ones that I think are most scary, especially since they can include shareholder class actions, consumer class actions for employment discrimination, and the like. So anytime a large group of people have been similarly injured by a wrongdoing, a class action may be possible. And so now we just have 3 legal issues left of the 10 that we'll be reviewing today. So tied in second place is actually contract and also document review. So they're both tied for second place. And so it's important to protect your company by having all contracts and documents reviewed before you sign them or before you have people sign them because you would hate to have someone sign a contract that had illegal items in it that you were having them sign for your business. Now, I know that we're all amazing readers and we probably can all read a contract, but the question is, do you really understand it? And even if you do understand it, are you looking for all 15 things when you review that contract? Just to give you an idea of a couple of those 15 things that you should be looking for when you are signing a contract. First one is auto renewal. When you're signing this contract, how long are you signing up for? Is this a 1 year and it's not going to renew? Is it renewing every year, forever and ever and ever and ever, and you'll never be able to get out of it? Also, is there cause for termination? So if you're signing a contract to do business for someone, is there something in there that can cause them to terminate the contract and then leave you without having that job, without having that income coming into your business? So you want to make sure that you know to look for that, see if that cause for termination is anything that is out of the scope of what's reasonable. Also, dates and deadlines. These are really important. In contracts, if people put dates and deadlines in, they're expecting to have these items done by those dates, by those deadlines. If you can't meet those dates and deadlines, it's really important to have that contract relooked at, get those dates and deadlines changed, so that way you're not putting yourself in a situation where you're not able to abide by all the rules of the contract. Now, the number 1 is actually debt collection. Small businesses have reported having trouble collecting money owed to them. Now, obviously, this is important because without the money coming into the business, it's really hard to pay the employees, to pay your overhead, all those great things so that you need to be doing. So you can see here in this cartoon, not to make light of it, but with debt collection, this gentleman here, business owner, is telling one of his employees or maybe a fellow business owner that we need to send him our toughest collection letter, threaten him with a legal action, and even subliminally suggest some type of bodily harm. Oh, but make sure you put hugs and kisses, hugs and kisses, hugs and kisses under my signature to show that we still love them as a customer. And so you have a customer who's not paying, you really need them to pay. You can see here it's obviously a legal item because they're even taking and threatening them with legal actions. And so the debt collection, again, is that number one most frequently cited legal problem. It puts you in a weird place because, again, you want your customers to love you, but you also want them to pay you. So now that we have reviewed the 10 different legal issues that you can face as a small business owner, I want to take a look at 3 different options that we actually have to combat them. And so now option A is perhaps the easiest one to look at, is hiring an attorney. I mean, these are obviously all legal issues. Attorneys are professionals in the legal area. And so when you hire an attorney, you're looking at anywhere from $150 to $450 or more an hour. And so now you can see here right around 3 million small businesses actually cite high costs as the reason that they're not using an attorney. So if 3 million small businesses are saying that they're not paying for attorneys or they're not using them because they don't want to pay for them, makes option B pretty easy to figure out. So option B is not using an attorney and actually going it alone. So despite the prevalence of all legal issues that are facing small businesses, an alarming number of these owners are actually facing these problems without the benefit of legal advice or counsel. So nearly 60% of business owners who said that they experienced that legal issue in the past 2 years reported not hiring an attorney to help them. So serious legal threats that are being handled alone by the small business owners include that collection of bad debt we were just talking about, contract preparation and execution, intellectual property and protection, insurance disputes, employee and customer lawsuits, product liability issues, and even tax problems. I'm not sure if I would feel comfortable talking to the IRS by myself. I'm not sure about you. Now, when they actually asked why they didn't seek that legal help for such serious issues, again, nearly 60% of the business owners who decided to forego hiring that attorney did so because they actually believed that they could handle the issue better on their own. Even though only 1% of all of these respondents said that they were an attorney or even that they had a legal background. So again, out of those 60%, only 1% of them actually were attorneys. So they have no legal background, they're not attorneys, but yet they're going out there by themselves. Now, the third option is having a legal service plan. So for the fraction of the price of what a small business would actually pay a lawyer to handle just one single issue, they can have access to their own dedicated law firm to discuss an unlimited number of legal issues. So of the business owners who are considering a legal service plan, the overwhelming majority say that they are considering subscribing to a legal plan to protect their business and to save money, to have ready access to the legal advice and counsel without having to pay that high cost associated with such access. So for small businesses that subscribe to legal plans, 100% report that they are satisfied with the services that they receive. Small businesses that seek the legal help say that they get positive results and their issues are resolved in their favor, that they've avoided complications. The research further shows that small business owners spend a significant amount of time trying to deal with the complex legal issues on their own. So now, if you're deciding you're going through and you're dealing with these legal issues on your own, this is time that you, the business owner, could spend managing and growing your business. As a small business owner, you wear many hats, but being your company lawyer does not have to be one of them. LegalShield does offer small business plans, legal plans, and I wanted just to give a free gift to everybody who's listening in today, or even who's listening to this Chamber University recording. I want to give everybody a complimentary, customized business needs analysis. So in this business needs analysis, it'll actually forecast the cost for you, your business, to hire an attorney the traditional way, so option A, and it will also show you the cost of a recommended legal service plan from LegalShield, which is option C that we just discussed. Again, this is at no obligation for the business owner. I just really want to be a resource to our business community, and if I can provide any business owners any help that will help you run, grow, and protect your business, it's a win for me. And so, also, if you would like to receive this, again, complimentary business needs analysis, please email me, subject line Chamber U offer, or you can reach out to me by phone. My information's here on the screen for anybody who's tuning in just by phone. Again, I'm Lori Algieri. I'm your local LegalShield business consultant. My number is 702-907-3758. Again, 702-907-3758. And my email is Algieri, ALGIERI, @LegalShieldAssociate.com.
Thanks so much, Lori. And I just want to open it up for questions. If you do have any questions, you can feel free to type them into the chat box at the bottom left corner of your screen. And if we don't have any questions at this time, if you have any questions after this webinar, feel free to send them over to the Chamber, and we'll make sure to get them over to Lori. So again, thank you so much
Yes, thank you.
for being a part of this webinar today, and we look forward to seeing everyone next week, where we're going to be discussing getting the best customer experience for your business. So thanks again, and we'll see you all next week.